How's it going? It's Patrick Friday here, and today's video we're gonna do a review on a new Dragonhawk Fold Pro. It's a wireless machine in a reasonable price, and in today's video we're gonna cover the following topics: workflow of the machine and how it feels in the hand, strength, stroke length and working voltage, wrapping the machine as it has 2 twist points, and the cost, whether it's worth buying it. Let's get started. So it comes in this small box. Let's open it up. Let's see what we've got. Some instruction inside. Let's see what we got. So there is this RCA connector for those who'd like to use it with a cable. I can't get it out. That's how it looks. So you simply remove the battery and you can put it right in there. It actually gets a bit smaller, so you can connect it with your RCA cable and use it with the cable. That's the size of the machine itself, and that's the battery. So yeah, let's see what we got. So there's this little box which has some like O-rings and Allen keys in it, and some RCA cable, and then you got the USB for your battery charging. So you just plug that in right in there, and then your USB. So the machine has a very smooth shape and feels good in the hand. The grip, that's where you can adjust the needle length. You can also remove the whole grip for proper sterilization in autoclave, like so. So there is another twist right above it where you can adjust the stroke, which ranges from 2.4 up to 4.2, and I would go down to 3.3 most of the time for my lining and color packing. Unless I want to achieve very smooth and bright shading, I can lower it down so it hits very gently, and that's where you can get your smooth blends, 2.4. To turn it on, just press the middle button and screen comes up with a voltage and battery level. You can adjust your voltage going back and forward. To turn it on, just press the middle button again. Workflow of the machine, the strength it has, stroke lengths and voltage I work on when doing specific things. You can do pretty much anything with the machine. It's good for lining, shading and color packing. Let's start off with lining. When it comes to doing lines, I'd like to set up my machine voltage between 7 and 8. Depending on the placement of that tool, you have to kind of feel it out for yourself and adjust yourself to what you're doing. And stroke in around 3.3, but as I said, you need to kind of feel it out, and sometimes you'd have to go down or up depending on what you're doing and the placement of the tattoo. I would stick out the needle a bit more. This way it hits more accurately and sharp. Soft shading, I would set it up at 7.0 up to 8.5. I would work in around 3.3, 3.0 at the stroke, unless I want to achieve very smooth blends when like doing a portrait. I would go down as low as 2.4 and then obviously go down to 7.0 in the voltage. I would also pull the needle back a little more. This might help with smoothness of your work. This way it hits very gently and you can achieve your smooth blends and transitions. Packing color, same thing applies like with your lining. You need to make sure that your machine hits harder to pack that color well without any gaps, with good saturation of the color. So the stroke goes up in around 3.3, same thing with voltage in around 8 and 8.5. it comes to battery life, it all depends on type of work you'll be doing and the voltage you'll be using. And of course, size of your tattoo. Sometimes one battery would be enough when I'll be doing just soft shading, black and gray. But when I'm doing like full color piece, I would run out of power. So I recommend buying a spare battery. So it's good to have two of them on you. So whenever you run out of power on one, you have your spare one, just put it back in, put this one to charging, and you're good to go. So whenever my battery dies, I put new one in and then put the other one straight for charging. This way I never run out of power. I never leave it charging overnight to prevent from overcharging, which could cause damage to the battery. In result, it would lose on its power. When I use one battery, the second one is charging, and I keep an eye on it to make sure I plug it out when it's fully charged. It usually takes like 2 hours for the battery to charge fully. Now I'd like to show you how I wrap my machine up, and because it has two twist points for the needle end and stroke, you need to make sure it's wrapped properly so you can work with it freely. So let me show you how I do it. So the very first thing I would do, just spray the towel with some alcohol, clean the machine once more, like so. So it's all nice and clean. And then I would start off with these two little pieces of bags. So first one goes on top, then just take some tape, keep it in place like so. So that'll be my one end covered and sealed on its own. Because it has two twists, you need to be able to twist it on its own. So then I'll put my machine into that second bag, which comes on that part. If you notice, this bag, it's much bigger, so the machine can twist in it freely. So once I have that on, I'll just tape it together. So when everything is sealed and taped together, I'll take like 3 kitchen towels to make up a grip for more comfortable work. I just find it easier to work with bigger grips like that. Then like the whole work comes from your wrist, like the movement. So wrap it like that, nice and tight, so it holds on one place. Then shape it so there is nice spot for the needle to come in. It's all sealed, and you see I can twist it, like change the stroke, change the needle. There's one more thing I'd like to show you. So always put like this really small piece of tape on my needle, because otherwise like I feel like the needle is popping out a little too much, and that keeps it in place. I don't know if it's that specific brand or what's the story, but it doesn't bother me. Once I put that small amount of tape, then it sits in well and I can work freely. So that's one tip. Yeah, so I'll say again, like the fat grip, this way I can have more control over the machine, and all the movement comes from the wrist. so I don't hurt my hand over hours of work. It's really good for like smooth shading. It can also apply for lining. This way I can work freely and every move is more fluid. Same thing applies to lining. It's much easier to pull a straight line when you have a fat grip like that. It extends your range in your wrist. That's my own preference. Maybe you'll find it helpful. Cost of the machine, what can I say? It's 240 pounds. So that's very reasonable price. I mean, there's some machines out there cost 1,200. So if you just starting out, you don't want to spend too much money on your equipment, that's the machine for you. I personally love it. It's a great machine. So yeah, okay guys, that's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful. Give us a like, subscribe to my channel for more videos like that. If you'd like to book your session with me, you can find me on socials right here. And if you have any other topics you'd like me to cover in the future, let me know in the comments. Stay positive and passionate about your life. Peace.